Hey there, fellow chemists. Rodamon here. Thank you for tuning in to Stationeers' Brutal Vulcan. Episode 8, Building the Means to Explode Me Some Water. Alright. So, the input is from the coolant line. The filtered is going to go here, and then the unfiltered will just go back into the coolant line of the things that aren't volatiles. So let's hook up the waste return. And then I can start filtering my volatiles. Oh, oops. That's not correct. Like, even a little bit. So in here, oh, it's not plugged in. Yeah, that would help. Or so I've been told. Okay, now in here we have volatiles, and what I want is about I want about 1100 moles of volatiles, because we're going to combust the volatiles with oxygen in a 2-to-1 ratio. 2 fuel, 1 ox. And then for that we're going to need a gas mixer. But I have to deal with my food and water first. Then the other thing I want to do is, what temperature is my oxygen? 29. That sounds awesome. So let's go take the radiator off. And I won't add anything that, like, screws up the temperature there from here on out. Okay. Let's deal with food and water. So I've got a little bit of water on me, but I'm going to need more water, and this is my final water bottle. Although I do have water in the hydroponic system, I have about 11 liters of it, so it's not like my last source of water. I do have other sources of water. And a cereal bar. The AC in the greenhouse stopped again. Got it. I'll check on that in a second when I'm not, you know, starving. Okie dokie. Yep, it's definitely stopped. I can see the start. And we're about halfway for the volatiles that I need. My own CO2 filters are rather low, too. Let's make this 25 Celsius, though. So, the AC is starting, but it's not even going to do anything because it's like... Okay, there it goes. It's like warming up the gas. In fact, let's just shove a little bit more CO2 in the system. And what will end up happening in this room, because I'm not filtering out the oxygen, it will slowly become oxygenated. In fact, it might even become oxygenated enough that I can breathe in here. And that might be an ultimate goal for our run anyway, is to have an entire base that's breathable, with like individual doors that aren't airlock doors in case I need to, like, if I have a gas leak or something. But that's a long time from now. Okay, so gas mixer. So the gas mixer here is going to combine hydrogen and oxygen into fuel so that we can combust it and turn it into steam. And for this project, I'm going to need even more insulated piping. Because the one I have is going to not be enough. I'm going to glue it to the ceiling so that it's like out of the way. I don't want to hit my head on anything. I guess that works. So that's input 1 and input 2. So input 2 is here, and that's going to be for the oxygen. Okay. When I say glue to the ceiling, I don't actually mean glue. Okay. So there's our gas mixer, and input 2 is going to be at 33. That's roughly the correct mix, but only when the two gases are the same temperature. So that's my next goal. And then also let's get it plugged in, which I'm almost out of cables. So these 17 copper that I just threw in there are all going to become cable coils. All right, we have 1 kilomole. What I want is 1.1 kilomoles, because 1.1 kilomoles is the amount that I need. The other thing is I don't have the tank for the condensation loop, and I don't have the tank for the base temperature loop. The condensation loop is going to be more important, more urgent, and that will be the next thing I make. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take this this fuel and run the fuel outside to an H2 combustor. So I'll just stick it out the wall there. And I'm going to want more frames, but I'm going to do this outside because it creates a lot of heat. And we'll have H2 combustion out there. I'm also going to want a power console to control this whole system. The H2 combustor, the water filter, and the condensation chamber. So they have a panel inside to control whether it's on or off, and I'm going to control the gas mixer myself. The reason I want to control the gas mixer is I don't necessarily want to mix all of my oxygen, because, you know, I don't enjoy suffocating. It's not my kink. So I don't want the game to go, oh, all your oxygen into fuel? Because, like, yeah. I mean, of course I could, like, filter it back into oxygen, but, like, that's just stupid at that point. Alright, so now that thing can turn on. And I probably have enough... Yep, I have enough hydrogen. So let's turn this off. Now, what I want to do is my oxygen is at a stable 133 Celsius. I need to get my hydrogen at a 133 Celsius. So I'm going to add a radiator to it to cool it down from 153 to 133. So if they're the same temperature, I can mix them in equal parts. Eventually, I'm going to want my oxygen and volatiles to be at room temperature. Same with my carbon dioxide. But setting up a heat exchanger is like a nice to have, not a need to have. So that's a future project for sure, but not one for now. What this will end up doing is it will heat up my base. But that's fine. The next thing I need for this system is the atmospheric H2 combustor, which is also part of the atmospherics kit, and then a water filter, which is also atmospherics, and then a phase change device, which is not atmospherics, and then an insulated tank. And I believe for the insulated tank, I am going to need probably steel and silicate. I'm just about out of steel. I think I can make one more tank with the steel I have. And then I'm going to want to have an air conditioner, which is yet another atmospherics kit. Because what I want to do is I want to cool down the gas in my my condensation coolant and dump the heat into my regular coolant. So I'll have like regular coolant that gets refreshed nightly, and then condensation coolant, which is, I'm going to try to keep temperature stable. So maybe what I'll do is put a water filter here. I'll have my water filter inside because it doesn't produce heat. It's just a filter. And then I'll have my H2 combustor outside. And then this one is going to be a air conditioner. I'll probably end up setting up 8 solar panels with a transformer. Why 8? 7's enough, but eventually I'm going to enclose my solar panels in windows so they don't get destroyed by dust storms, which reduces their efficiency a little bit. So if I do 8, I'm still going to get the 5 kilowatts off of them. All right, so this is an air conditioner for the coolant line. Then I want a tank, insulated tank, and I only have enough steel for 1. So the plan is tonight, ideally, I will, oh, and I should check the temperature on this. I will try to, oh, it's almost perfect. 135. Yeah, okay. As soon as that reads 133, I'm going to pull the radiator off. And that way the oxygen and the hydrogen are at the same temperature so I can mix them correctly. Yoink. I remembered to do something. I am so proud of myself. Okay. I'm also going to need... So here's the tank that's going to have the condensation loop coolant. For that, I'm going to want some steel platforms to work with outside. Baja Blast! Thank you for the resub. So the gas fuel comes out of there. I want a nice platform out here. I don't know how much more fuel I even have in this welder. Eventually I'll make a tool fab and like give myself an arc welder, because using this welder in my base will cause pollutant fumes. But whatever. Okay. So the coolant. This is going to be my, like, other coolant. So maybe what I'll do is, once the sun goes down, I'm tempted to, like, move this coolant tank at some point. It's a little hot, but I can probably just shove more gas into it at the moment. So the, this goes to an H2 combustor, which then feeds back to the water filter, which then feeds to a condensation device. So maybe I will have this tank up here too. Just trying to think of a good spot for it. Up here's fine. All right, let's go get an active vent and start filling that thing up. And then we were going to want to cycle it in air conditioning. So, active vent. We know the active vent's going to be here, but like on the other side. So what I'll do is I'll plug it in here and then like install it correctly outside. I'll fix the cabling later. For now, I'm just worried about like getting gas into it. So I'm gonna have messy cabling, temporary messy cabling. Potato check? Yeah, I'll check the potatoes soon. Alright, inward and on. So this is my condensation coolant loop. Oh, you know what? I need a drain for this. Crap. You know what I'm gonna do? I don't want it to rupture, so I am going to turn this off and borrow this drain. And then print up another drain. The reason being is there will be a lot of liquid pollutant that builds up in these tanks otherwise, and that would make the thing go kaboom, and it could even rupture the walls of my base and end the run. It's quite serious when pipes go kaboom. It probably wouldn't, because it probably wouldn't have enough pressure to rupture, but like I don't want to risk that. Alright, potatoes. They don't look fruiting yet. But I'll go in there in a moment to check. Once this liquid drain is installed. Where is the plumbing? Hello, plumbing. I forgot how you're laid out. Where's the pipes? Too bad I don't have the meson detector. Are the grow lights automated? They are, yes. Oh, speaking of which, they are automated this way. Hold on. Screwing this up. So this is the solar angle of the sun as it goes up. So sunrise and sunset is like roughly 90 degrees. So it goes from 90 to 0 to 90 down to 180 back to 90. So I have the grow lights on from 90 to 90, which is half the day. I just figured I would show that so you can visualize how the angles are, because it's not obvious at a glance. So there. Install it from in here. Okay, taters. How you do? Actually, is it going to be sun up soon? Yeah, probably, but I have enough time to check on the potatoes. So they're thriving towards seeding yet. They haven't seeded. Close, but not all the way close. Okay, and the liquid built up in this tank is decreasing, so that means the drain was installed correctly. Fantabulous. If the panels are pointing in that direction, I know sun's about to come cresting. Yep, there it is, or rather, whatever, Janus. So you turn off. And we ended up with a whole bunch of kilomoles. That's great. That's a lot of coolant. Yeah, that's quite a lot of coolant. So that's going to be really helpful for the coolant loop. All right. I might not even need that much more coolant. I mean, the higher the volume, the less it is to be temperature shocked. So more coolant equals more stable temperature. But that might be good for now. I can revisit later. And the tank is in the way, of course. When my survival is secured, am I going to attempt to get other seeds? Yes. I intend to buy fern seeds, because fern seeds are a lot more water efficient than potatoes. I'm still going to need to grow some potatoes, or at least some food. But but ferns or darga ferns, not that darga ferns would be a bit of a stretch, but regular ferns would be definitely desirable. Stupid tank. I like set this up in the most unreasonable way possible. Yeah, okay. It's going to be a little messy, but a little messy is just, it's charming. It doesn't really bother me. Okay, there we go. So here, this is going to be the water filter, so let's get that built. And, I mean, it might not be obvious, but steam is water. So when I say water filter, it's really going to be a steam filter. This thing's going to be filtering steam, not water. But like the game, I mean, they're one and the same, but it's not liquid. You don't put liquid through a filter. One of these filters. These filters can only take gases. And the input from here is going to be from the H2 combustor from the outside. For that, we're going to need more... Oh, you know what? I only have... Okay, so I'm basically out of steel and silicon. So right now, it would be a good idea for me to go make some steel and silicon as the sun is just coming up, and I'll be able to capture the ambient outdoor temperature for smelting.
Air tank low.
Ah, crap. It's a bad time to have air tank low. My character dies pretty quickly after air tank low warnings. So what I want to be doing is I want to get like as much of the iron in the furnace as possible to start outgassing it, because the gas that comes off of ores cool down your furnace. So if I can start outgassing iron now, it'll be easier to make steel. Looks like there's also silicon here, so it's like a one-stop shop. And then I'll get the carbon later. But the carbon is a small fraction of the what goes into steel. Well, a quarter, whatever. You get the point. But as you can see, yeah, I just had the 100% alert for my ox tank, and it's already down to 2/3. It's fast. Doesn't give you a lot of room for error. Alright, this iron's been processed and outgassed, so I'm going to vent the furnace. Couldn't you just cycle my waste tank for ox as I keep having temperature flush your suit? It would basically flush the entire thing, though. You could do that in a pinch, but it's not going to keep you alive very long, because you will quickly find yourself flushing out your entire tank again and asphyxiating. So, it's not... I mean, again, you could do it in a pinch, but I would not rely upon that as a survival mechanic. You will die. That works on other planets better. One thing you could do is you could turn off the air conditioning and do that. Your character will get like burnt up and your lungs will turn to a crisp, but like it will maybe keep you alive longer. I just, you know, why risk that when I can just go inside and get a new tank? The risk versus reward there, and it just doesn't calculate. Alright, the ambient temperature right now is warm enough. Well, warm is relative. It's definitely hot enough for some steel making. And then I'll get some silicon, and that will allow me to make more insulated stuff. This needs to hit 627 Celsius. So I'm pulling in hot air and flushing out cooler air. Having these vents next to one another is like not super efficient. because the flush one is making the air that I'm pulling in not as hot as ambient. So putting this one over there would make more sense, except for my power intake is like in the way. When was the last storm? I don't know. I'm not gonna pretend to know. I could set up a weather station at some point. Alright, so now that that's flushing in hotter air, I'll get the silicon now. A decent sense of direction on Vulcan, so I'm like not too worried about ash storms. I think I wouldn't get lost because I don't venture too far. Vulcan has one advantage, which is that it's laden full of metals and ores, so it's really easy to find what you need without having to go too far from your base. So that's why it's like I haven't even bothered with tracking a beacon. Not that I have solder, but I haven't bothered to do any of that because it's like I'm in my backyard constantly. Plus it's light out for the vast majority of the day, and that makes it pretty easy too. Them's my steel. Oh. The silicon got too cool in there. By like barely anything. It's like 10 degrees too cool, so I'll just do the quick flush and it should hit. 619, 620, come on, 627, let's go. Alright, there it is. Perfect. Alright, so the input here is going to be for steam. And the output gases, I don't even want. So I'm just going to dump them into the atmosphere, because I don't care at all about them. All right, let's fix hydration. Let's see. I'm going to want... Well, I have a little bit more... I have enough water in my bottle right now to be okay. But next I'm going to need a water bottle filler for my hydration to be fixed again. Cheers. Alright, food and water's nice and full. So, one thing I can do right now is this is my coolant loop for the water condensation, and I want to hook that up to start cooling it, because the cooler it gets now, the easier it's going to be for me to make water. So 2 pipes. There's no oxygen on the planet. Don't need to capture waste gas to keep the O2. Yeah, which is why I have my canisters right here. I haven't thrown them out. I haven't done anything wrong. They're right there, ready to be recaptured. I have not thrown out any oxygen ever. I haven't wasted a mole. Alright, because I'm not intaking anything, the pollutant in here should be pretty stable at this point. Meaning, aka not liquid. So I don't need to worry about that drain unless I start to trigger up the intake. The reason why I'm removing is because I need to connect the pipes to it. So that drain should be reinstalled later on, but I don't need to do that right now. What comes out of the condenser? Just wait and see. You're asking questions where the answers are about to come, so just chill and see. So this line is the waste line, and this waste line is the line that I'm going to want connected to the waste of this air conditioner. So it's going to be like a little hump here, but that's fine. And then the input and output is going to be from here. So this has to connect to both. So this is me cooling one of my coolant tanks at the cost of heating up the other. Because the heat has to go somewhere. It's a little bit of like a... like one of those like metal puzzles where you have two interconnected like rings or whatever and you have to separate them or whatever, but... yeah. But if you're wondering what I'm doing, in order to make water on this planet, because it does not exist in ice form, you have to essentially blow up hydrogen and oxygen together. And that makes steam that comes out at 2,500 Celsius. And you can't really drink steam without dying, so I then need to take the steam and chill it. But in order to take the steam and chill it, I at least need to separate the steam from all the other combustion materials. Because the H2 combustor doesn't just make water, it makes a lot of waste gas too. So this here is going to become cold coolant once this loops enough in order to help condense the water from a gas to a liquid. Alright, so this thing is going to be for the H2 combustor, and for me to... you know what? I need another waste tank. I'll eventually set up another flush system for my oxygen. It's at the cost of like a little bit of iron, I can delay that need, and it's pretty low priority. So I just have a bunch of oxygen in my spent tanks to be filtered later. That's fine. Okay, so we've got this cooling down. It's already dropped 5 degrees Celsius. It looks like it's going to be nighttime soon. From the H2 combustor, we are probably going to... I'm going to make 2 inline pipe gas utilities. One for the fuel. So I'll put it here. Just to add a little bit more volume to the system, so it doesn't explode. And then one for the steam that the combustor makes. Just because it shouldn't ever back up that much. But the change of the total volume here is 150 liters. What was it before I did that? Dang it. Put it in my belt. 60 liters. So it, like, doubled it. It's pretty cheap to double it that way, in my opinion. Or more than double. It's just a little bit of inline tanking. Which means, if this is filtering steam... where'd my other utility go? Did I stop it before it printed? I must have. The steam coming off of here, the filtered gas, is going to be steam, and I should have a small inline tank for that as well. So then steam comes out of here, and then we can pump it back out to the condensation line, and then the stuff with the waste gas from here is just going to get vented out to Atmo. Oh no, here it is. You know, I'm going to do, let me print up one more inline. Because it's not very expensive, and it can help me avoid a rupture. So I'm going to add the larger inlines here and here to for safety. So this is going to be my steam tank right there. So, in keeping with the design of everything else, this is my... Oh, come on. That's where I keep my steam. And that way there's lots of volume, and I won't have to worry. So, well, jeez. What is the volume of this now? $290, $280. Yeah, okay, that's plenty. I really don't want a rupture. I'm going to want an insulated passive vent for the waste gas. So the reason why I'm not bothering to capture the waste gas from... So, again, picture this system. We've got fuel coming off this line here that goes outside to the H2 combustor. The H2 combustor combusts that fuel into steam and waste gas. 60% waste gas, 40% steam, roughly. The waste gas is still super, 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 super hot, so I don't want to keep it. I don't need to keep insanely hot gas unless I'm trying to feed a furnace, and I don't want to feed my furnace that way because it's really hard to like measure, and it's more effort than it's worth, in my opinion. Plus, I'm not creating enough volume of it to really help with like furnace use, so there's really no point in keeping it, which is why I'm going to dump it to space. So then what I'm doing is I am feeding that combusted gases through a water filter, and if it isn't steam, I'm dumping it to space, and then that steam has to go then back outside to a condensation chamber, which then condenses it with coolant loop in order to turn it to liquid water. And then I'm going to need to do something about the liquid water because it's going to be too hot. I'll probably use the base initially as a thermal battery so that the air conditioner in this room will effectively cool down my water, but eventually I'm going to do heat exchange. So that the base is the temperature of the base is stable, so that way I could potentially oxygenate it and breathe it, and then take my suit off inside and be a lot happier. But that's like that's not a goal for the immediate future. And we've already cooled down this coolant by 20 degrees. All right, so we have the atmospherics kit for the H2 combustor. I want pipes. And it looks like it's nighttime out, so I could also do some coolant loop flush. Interesting, this tank does not have a place for a drain, but whatever. The other thing is I'm going to want power outside, too. I don't have a power cable leaving outside just yet for the H2 combustor, so... There. Alright. I'll try to hook up that correctly. This drain I'll install later. Oh, my air tank's rather low. And it's already, like, daybreak. So I'm going to go back inside and swap the air tank. Should also check out the plants, because I'm sure the plants are ready to fruit. Yeah, let's do that now. Alright, let's get hydroproduct basins, because I don't have space to replant. Trays. I'll just use the rest of my iron to make trays, and then I'll just have to mine and smelt some iron today. Food's in the positive, except for I'm going to replant everything. I still have cereal bars, so every single potato is going to just become a new potato plant. Yeah, I am unhappy because I haven't taken off my suit and, like, relaxed, essentially. And having an oxygenated base in the future would be great. That way I could come inside, take off my suit, and deal with my morale issues easily. I don't have any other iron anyway, right? Oh, I do. I have 108 iron in my electronics. So if I run out of basins, I'll just go back and make some more. Oh, crap, that wasn't seating. Not seating. This is seating. And not seating, not seating. Okay, I'm going to need more basins. I'm also going to need more liquid pipes. Do I have liquid pipes here? I do not. I'm also going to want a bottle filler. Nearly out of silicon again? Hot damn. Thank you for tuning in to Stationeers Brutal Vulcan, which originally streamed live on Twitch. If you have any questions for me, let me know in the comments below, but I'm not looking for feedback or backseating. If you'd like to catch a live stream of mine, Rodamont.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. If you'd like to join my online gaming community on Discord, Rodamont.com has a link to it, as does the description of this video. Thank you so very much for watching. Special thank you to my Twitch subscribers, Patreon patrons, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. I hope to catch you next episode or an upcoming stream. Catch you next time.